looks like good. The public view is still nothing. We'll start streaming. Okay. All right. So we are streaming. Hello, Amy. Nice to see you here straight off the bat. I've got my painting here from yesterday because clearly I did not finish it. Just checking for, I don't see my chat here in the window. Something's up with that. I got top chat. I'm switched to live chat. There we go. And Cole is here. Nice to see you, Cole. Amy's going to make some coffee. My local kid, hi. And Donut the Siamese cat, hello. Thank you for the compliment. This is a picture of the house we can see up here in the corner. And chocolates, okay. Chocolates, sure. Why not? All right, so two of the things that are going to happen today is I'm going to finish working on this painting here that you can see up in the top corner, and I'm going to work on improving the shadows or something about, there's got to be something happening here that I just felt like it's not punching out some of the areas, and I ran out of time yesterday, so we'll see what happens. And also, I'm going to paint a picture of some waves that I posted on the community page because I wanted something nice and easy today, so that will also happen. But I do feel like just a couple of things need just a little bit of darkening up in here, so I'm gonna do that first. Thanks, Amy. I hope yours turned out nice. I saw pictures of it yesterday. It looked great. I don't know if you consider it all done or if you needed a few more details just like I do, but I'm gonna start doing that first off. And then I'll move on to the new painting, which is the ocean scene. I already started the ocean scene by doing a little bit of masking off with my my PBO drawing gum, and that's fully dried, so I'll be able to start in directly with paint. So if you're not going to be working on adding any highlights or lowlights to yesterday's painting, you might want to see what you can do about masking off the waterline in your in the current day's picture. We'll try after 100 days. Yeah, I get it. But I just wanted to finish a couple of small details on here, and I wasn't sure what was up with this. Like, I know there's something missing from this picture, but I couldn't decide what it was, and I feel like it's probably the amount of depth in the color underneath those tones. So I'm just pulling up the image here. I'm just going to my community page, and where I put the link in for that scene, I'm going to pull it up nice and large so I can remember what's going on with that. I felt like this building was a little bit too lively, bright. Maybe it needs a bit of brown over top. That would help a little bit. And then just maybe a little bit of maybe just a line along the bottoms of these buildings to show where they meet each other. So that's what I'm just going to quickly do here before I go on to the next item on the list. I lost my pop-out chat though. I don't know what I did there. Something. I did something. Technology. Let's see. Pop-out chat. There we go. That is better. Now I can keep track of you all. Oh, of course I remembered your name. Cole, I'm not good with names, but I tried. Jasmine the Best is back. Nice to have you back, Jasmine. And Donut the Siamese cat. I tried to paint a picture once and ended up splattering paint all over the canvas. Well, you know what? That sounds like a picture also, even though it might have not been the one you were trying to actually paint. Oh, come on. My chat window keeps going too big. You can't see what's happening here, but it's a clear testament to my technological ineptitude. Okay, so now I can see the picture. That's step one. And now I can also see the chat. That's step two. Excellent. I can see everything now. All over my canvas. Yes. Oh, okay. Well, sometimes you don't want to splatter paint, for sure. So first thing I'm going to do on this one is I'm just going to quickly dull down the brightest section here in the corner with a little bit of a wash of brown. And I think I'm just going to stick with the yellow ochre that I was using before, so that it doesn't end up looking too overkill on the tone. And then just mixing in a little bit of burnt umber just to dim it down a little. And then I'm just going to wash this in on top of this just to kill some of that really glowing bright light. I'm just going to do this quickly. This won't take me very long at all. So Amy, did you, are you planning to paint the ocean waves with me today? And have you thought about a plan of attack on that one? I have decided to do the masking fluid as my first approach to that one, just to give it some white space without too much hard work. I worked so hard on this one yesterday that I wanted the next one, the one I'm going to do today, I wanted it to feel a little bit less intimidating, a little bit less heavy. Yes and no. Okay, yes, she's going to paint the same one as me. No, she doesn't really have a plan of attack. All right, well, I'll give you a minute to think about that while I just dab in a little bit of sort of little shadows here along the bottoms of these buildings. I feel like they didn't have enough like delineation. They look like they blend right into the asphalt. Grab some masking stuff. Now, how do you use it? Okay, so the way the drawing gum works is it's liquid inside and needs to be shaken before you use it, and be careful because it's an irritant. But basically what I did to use this was I just took the hard end of a brush and I dipped it into the gum, and I painted it on my painting in every area where I wanted it to be white when I'm finished. So all of the blue that you see on this paper is my drawing gum, or my resist, or whatever you want to call it. So you have to let it dry, and I think you can use like a heat gun or a blow dryer if you want to dry it more quickly. But you do that, you let that dry fully before you start adding paint to it. So that's how that works. It's not very difficult, but it does require a little bit of advanced preparation. So I don't know how long it takes to dry exactly, because I did mine earlier today and I didn't really pay attention. It would have been like watching paint dry, because that's what it was. And then these roofs, I feel, are also not quite dark enough. So I'm just going to add a little more depth of brown into these rooftops, because I see some like actual white popping out on these, and I think that's part of what's interfering with my picture. But I so ran out of time last night. I went 30 minutes over time. All right, she's got it, and she has a dryer. She's going to go ahead and try to experiment with the masking fluid. All right, I'm just going to keep on doing this. You're still drinking Kool-Aid. I'm sure it's orange. That's great. And Donut the Siamese Cat says it's a cool thing to do. Love the donut. Yeah, sounds good. Have a dryer. One person is watching, but definitely more than one person is. Sometimes there's a lag there. It doesn't keep up with the changes in the stream because you already joined. But as long as we're here, it doesn't matter what YouTube thinks, how many people they think are here. We know we're here, and that's what counts. All right. Jasmine the Best says number 3. This was number 3, building number 3 from the choices for yesterday. This is just the last few touches I'm putting on because I ran out of time at the end of yesterday's stream, because I gave this really challenging project idea, and then it was a little more than I could actually manage during the time I had allowed myself. What do we have here? Quinacridone Gold. That's so pretty. I'm going to I'm going to add a little bit of this right over top of this lemon yellow. I'm just going to dab it down the edge and then spread it over a bit like this, just to give some sort of texture. I felt like this yellow, while it was nice and bright, it also lacked character. So I'm just going to pull a little bit of yellow highlight into that building, like so. And then I just also felt like it needed some black, and I was really super tempted to get out a marker or something like that and add in the marker. The nighttime entrepreneur has returned. Hello, nice to see you again. He gave me some tips on how to make OBS work, and it worked. Thank you. It was actually not OBS, it was actually the live stream settings on YouTube. I kept on having to revert back over to the stream, like stream now, as opposed to using my preset event. So if you're ever looking for tips on YouTube for how to do fancy things, he's a good helper. Thank you so much. Assad is here. Are you late? You are not late. I just got started, but I'm doing a couple touch-ups on yesterday's painting, so that may be why it looks like I got a little bit further ahead than you would expect me to in 11 minutes, which is when I started this stream. So, I feel all I need now is just a little bit of some shadows in these open doors. So I'm gonna make that really pretty shadow that I made yesterday, which was with burnt umber and a little bit of ultramarine blue, and it makes this gray shade of black that's really got lots of character in it. And then I'm just going to come back into these little doors down here. I'm just gonna tap with this flat brush on the left side of all of these, because the shadow is probably the darkest on the left. We'll just make them feel like there's light going in from the outside and a little bit less the donut, the Siamese cat. Oh, you're welcome. If someone helps, you should shout them out. Absolutely. You should. Because, I mean, that's how I learn everything. I just turn on YouTube, find out how to do things. So, I mean, I teach people how to do stuff on YouTube, and I teach myself how to do things by using YouTube. So, all right, just a little bit more shadow along this edge of the window and this edge of the window. And then I feel like that's better already. This is less bright. This has a little bit of texture in it, and I added some punchy darkness into the edges of those doors. So really, that was all I probably, if I'd have taken an extra 5 minutes last night, I would have been able to get this all done. Awesome. So yeah, I'm just checking the chats. We've got Ramadan happening. We've got water drinking. All right, so we're going to call that one pretty much done. I'm going to let it sit and look at it again later. Sometimes when you look back at things after a time, you realize that they needed something that you didn't notice when you were first painting them. So I'm just going to grab out this painting that I'm starting of the beach. Now I'm going to try and switch out this this scene on OBS and see if I can put the other picture in. Sometimes I have difficulty doing that. So please, if there's technical difficulties here with this, if it hesitates, just be patient with me and with this, and we'll see what happens. So I'm just grabbing the image. I'm show it in my downloads folder here, and then I'm going to try and swap it in on OBS, but sometimes it stutters and gets all upset. So let's see what happens today if I try and change this. Attempting the change right now, going into my downloads file. Oh, here we have it. It's taking its time, but I can see it. This is okay. The steps are good. Oh, there it is. Click OK. Woohoo! It worked. All right, so here you can see this is the ocean scene that I'm going to be painting today. And what you notice about this is a couple things. One being that the picture itself is really white in the middle. And when you look at what I have here, it's really blue in the middle. And the reason for that is I've used some masking fluid to basically cover up the area that I want to keep white on my page. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put some masking tape down and keep that going. So yes, reminding me to drink my water. I have some water, and I don't have an app for this, so I'm just going to have to try and remember on my own to continue drinking the water. All right, so now I'm just going to get my masking tape out, and I'm going to try to tape this down with leaving a little bit of an edge along the edge of the paper. I'm going to try and keep it straight on my board too, so that I can also not feel like it's always crooked. I thought the pre-dawn meal is still going on because I was thirsty, but when I checked the time, it'll be over at 4:07 and it's 4:15. Woohoo! So it's the end of Ramadan, I guess. Completely over. Or the pre-dawn meal is over. I'm not sure. Something's over. This live stream is not over. But Assad is talking about something to do with Ramadan. And I don't know about it, so can't help you there. All right, almost done masking this off. And then the fun begins. Then I get to start to choose the colors that I want to use for the sand and the water. And I want to get a really beautiful turquoise. I want the water to feel like it's in the Caribbean. And I also want the sand to be a nice soft color. Sometimes those are hard to get mixed easily. Great, don't stick. Come on, here we go. The great thing about tape is it's sticky. That is also the bad thing about tape. All right, so now I got my edges masked off. That's basically just going to give me a border all the way around this painting where there's a little bit of white. And I'll end up having to talk about water because I have to use water in my paint rinsing. So let's see here. Oh, nice. I'm on the TV. That makes me feel like you're super big and important. Amy's put me on her TV. All right, so here I have this painting, and I need to mix up a really pretty colored turquoise blue. And turquoise blue is kind of a greeny blue, so it's got green in it, or it's got lots of yellow in it, because blue and yellow make green. And this will be more blue and less yellow because I want it to stay blue, but I'm going to work on that first. Now, see, I've got some waves up here and then some little highlights over here, and I put some water on my palette, and now I'm going to decide which blue to use. But I think, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I have got some new paint. I've got some Daniel Smith colors here, and I've been sort of chomping at the bit to use these. So it's a huge palette, as you can see here. I've got a really big palette on the go. I'm going to be, and I opened the colors just to see what they looked like, and they're just sitting here. But I'm going to be creating a small palette for these, maybe later tonight. And that will be just the same size as this Altoids tin. But for now, it's all just kind of crammed into this very large palette. So let me just see here if I can make a little space and have everything fit. All right, so far so good. Got my water, got my brush. Now, the blue colors that came with this kit, we have Phthalo Blue Green Shade, and we have French Ultramarine, and that's these two here. So the Phthalo Blue Green Shade and the French Ultramarine. And then I've got this Hansa Yellow, which is a nice cool yellow. So I'll probably use these two cools, so the cool blue and the cool yellow, and I'll see if I can get a pretty turquoisey green color and just get that started down in here. And Cole is wondering what my favorite book is. I feel like I've talked about this before, but I'll tell you again. My favorite book, I don't actually have a favorite book, so maybe that's why the question persists. But I enjoyed the Harry Potter series. That was a lovely series. of stories. And I also enjoyed the Maze Runner series. I liked the Hunger Games series. That was good as well. And so I'm just adding some water here to my phthalo blue green shade. Daniel Smith. And these are transparent colors, so they stain the paper more than like laying layers of sediment on top of them. So that's kind of, I was looking for new paints that I felt would be able to enable me to paint more vibrantly. So I'm hoping that that will be the case. Oh, Jacinta is here. Hello from Canada to Australia. Thanks for joining us. I am painting tonight a picture of the ocean scene that you can see up here in the top corner, and I'm just trying to mix some pretty blue to get a nice watercolor. So I'm starting with this phthalo blue green shade, and I'm mixing it with some Hansa yellow just to find out if I can get a really pretty ocean turquoise going here. And I'm gonna just test this on a small strip of paper just to see what it's gonna look like if I've tinted it down. And Cole is in the middle of a Harry Potter book. Okay, so this has a really, you can see this on here. It's turquoise, but it's a bit neutralized. So if I wanted it brighter, I wonder what I would add to this. Neutralized usually means like it's graying out somehow. Interesting. So I guess I need more yellow. Let's see what happens if I add more yellow. I think it has too much green. So let's pull in some more yellow into this blue and then see what that does, besides make it more actually green. Well, it's definitely more green. And yeah, these are not the colors that I want this ocean to be. I want it to be really snappy blue. So what if I just use this blue straight up on wet, and then added yellow over that, so glazing it in. Wonder if that would work. It's just such a pretty turquoise. I wonder how you make that color. I do wonder. Thank you, Jasmine, for the lovely compliment. Okay, thinking about this color. Thinking really hard about this color. It's a piece of paper. That's the blue. I'm just going to grab a different brush here. This is the yellow. That's definitely green. And then I'm getting this grayed out color. I wonder if I switch to the other. I'm going to try, for the heck of it, I'm going to try switching over to my other yellow. So if I mix this blue, which is my phthalo blue green shade, I don't think this is going to work. I think it's going to gray it out even more. I'm going to try mixing it with my new gamboge, which is kind of an orange. This is just going to turn gray. This is like color mixing 101 for real beginners, because I clearly can't figure this out. Yeah, that's not going to give me what I want. Definitely not. So now what if I pick up the, what if I use the French ultramarine blue, which is this really dark, cool blue. And what if I mix this with cool yellow? What will happen then? Huh? So this is my blue brush. I'm just going to grab another brush here for my yellow. Grab another brush and try it over here. Oh, that's pretty. That's not what I expected. Okay, that's the color right there. That is French ultramarine mixed with Hansa yellow, and it's a really pretty turquoise. Awesome. And Cole is still drawing the chick. Well, you know what? You do you, Cole. That's the way we have to do this. So what if I mix these on the paper? What happens if I do that? What happens if I pick up the yellow and I put it directly on this blue, layered over top? Well, it's definitely doable, and potentially we'll make some nice deep darks. Okay. Woohoo! I'm excited now. I found the color, and it's gonna happen in this whole area here, this whole top half of my painting. So I think what I'll do first is just get a little bit of water on my canvas, on my paper, and I'm just gonna coat this top part with a fair bit of water so that it can have some play in the paper. I'm using a Canson XL paper tonight. Today, this time, it's a water-based paper. It's not water-based. It's a watercolor paper, but it is. It's a watercolor paper that is pulp paper, not cotton paper. Right, so I'm just putting on my blue here and adding a little bit of yellow into the blue and blending it down in a bit of a wash, wet on wet. I sound like a real watercolor artist saying these things. Every time I watch a video, that's what they're talking about, how they're doing their washes, and if it's wet on wet, or if it's dry, wet on dry, or all these crazy things. So these are all blending together. And I've sort of made a little bit of a line here at the bottom where I'd like the sand to sort of kick in a bit more. So I'm just going to stop my blue around that point, and just going to see if I can't pop in a little bit of some dark tones in the edges of this beautiful ocean water. And the fact that it's wet paper and wet paint just gives it a little bit of fluidity, so it can blend in and around itself a little bit here. All right, and darker at the edges and lighter in the middle toward the bottom. And then let's just see here. Oh, I just got my paint water. My clean water is now dirty water. Hello, Assad. You're back. I'm still here. I wanted something like this turquoise and sort of in around here. So I'm just going to grab a little bit more yellow, put it in through here. Oh, that's so pretty. And we've got Valor Badger. Nice to have you back. I love it when I see friends returning for another live stream. All right. So this is my ocean scene, and I'm just layering on some different blues here to give it a really Caribbean feeling, but I'm keeping it lighter here at the bottom, but still trying to keep some of that you know, really pretty ocean blue happening at the same time. All right, now there are some like darker dabs of paint in through here that will be fun to play with it by adding more paint over top, but I'm first going to actually just put some little dots of water on here and allow them to push the paint away, just to give it a little bit of something's going on. And we'll see. what I think of that in the end. Yeah, you're a little late, but that's okay. We're still here. I think there's a feature where you can like scrub back over the first part and see what was going on, whether you want to or not. I don't know, but I think there is that capability with the live stream, I believe. All right. So that is the ocean blue. Now I'm just going to striate this with some lines to the sides just to break up some of that pattern that I just created so it doesn't look so snowflakey, because ocean water is more side to side variated, not up and down. And there's only so much more I'm going to be able to do on this paper before it decides to revolt. Paper doesn't always like to be wet and wet some more. But I'm glad I did this because it's giving it a little bit of texture. That is not a capability in Livestream. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I have to check my knowledge of the settings then, because I thought I had something like DVR enabled setting for this live stream. But as we all know, technology and I are not always the best of friends. So it would not surprise me if I'm wrong about that. Okay. So this is now my mottled ocean water. And I'm pretty happy with the color. And now what I need to do is think about the color for the sand. But I'm going to have to start with some fresh water, because if I let these colors stick around in my sand color, my blues are going to get all messed up. So I'm going to switch these out and get some fresh water. Okay. All right, now sand colors. I'm thinking that one of the colors that I want for sand is not quinacridone gold, raw sienna. So I'm just gonna give this a try. It's really warm. It's 20 degrees warm, poop dude, Cole. 20 degrees. It sounds like comfortable to me if it's Celsius. It's Fahrenheit. It's really cold. I don't know. Okay, so here, this is going to be my dirty water. Get this brush cleaned off. I think this one also has paint on it. Yep. And this one might also. Nope, clean. All right, so let's see what we can do with this color in terms of thinking about the sand. That's not too bad. And then it does have just, it's a little bit warmer, the ultimate color that I want for this, a little bit more pinkish maybe. 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, so it's like freezing. Well, that's not good. Turn the heat on. So I'm going to try to mix this with a little bit of red. And I have a couple of reds I could try. So let's see. This brush was not fully clean. And it's got some greenish tint on it there now. So I'm just going to dry that off. I need some paper towel. Just to get all that green off of there. AC doesn't like me. Oh, no. It must be hot where you are then, so you've turned on the air conditioner. see here, that's cleaner. Now the question is, how do I make the sand the color I want the sand to be? So we're starting off with this raw sienna, which is just a nice soft orangey color. I'm gonna need a little bit more than that. When you're working with paint out of a tube, it seems to never go as far. It's still got the binder that keeps it liquid is already has it wetted a little bit, so it doesn't go as far as you might want it to. So there we have it now. Hello, yes, I'm getting your chats. I'm not sure what you're talking about being late, but you're not late, you're here. Now let's go with this nice, just how much red do I have there? I only just want to touch the tip of my brush in the red. And then I'm going to mix this in with this just to see if I can warm up my sand color. And that's a little better. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with this mixture, and I'm going to throw it in here, mixed in with the waves, like this, and then pull it down onto the beach. We're all getting schooled on technology today. Amy's going to learn how to @ people in chat, which is a helpful skill to know. I'm learning how to manage pop-out chats and change reference pictures. So I ran out of that color again. I think I need a lot of it. There we go. Not going to run out now. Surely I won't run out now, but I do need to add some red with it. But just a titch of red, not much at all. Just enough to warm it up. Don't want it to be orange. Just a friendly sandy color here. And blend it out. So I already signed my name on here because I wanted to do it with the masking fluid. Thought that would be kind of fun to have my name written in the sand with the white background of the paper. Now the sand is wetter, close to the water, so there's a darker area there. So I could add another layer of tone on that with the same thing I'm working with. But I could also just dim it down a little bit with something to make it less bright, like maybe that. I just tapped it in here, into this green that I created for no reason. I think that might work. I think the way you do that is, if you're in the chat, sign into chat, I'm signed in. You just click on, I think you type at person's name. I can't, for some reason I can't type in my own chat. So can Assad please help Amy figure out how to do that? Hey, Billy Lemire is here. A bit late, but glad you didn't miss me. I'm glad you didn't miss me too. Excellent. All right, so I'm just painting this seascape. A nice easy painting compared to yesterday's. And I'm adding some darker wet sand into the water's edge here. And I'm going to have to add some more. So I'll dilute this paint again. And I had added a little bit of red just to warm it up. Wasn't really that much, but I'm also trying to darken it. So I'm going to pull in some of this green just to tint it down into, or tone it down into more of a darker color. And then I'm just going to bring some of that in along here to give it a darkness. And I don't really want, I'm trying to cover up all of my extra space in here where there was, where my masking fluid is, because I can dig right in there, like so. Lundrigan, Michigan. It's becoming warm quickly. AC is still on and 72 inside. Comfortable. Lake Michigan. That's awesome. I've never been to Michigan. Maybe one day I will. What are some fun things to do in Michigan? I bet they have good like fly fishing, and I hear there's some beautiful lakes. So, well, Lake Michigan for sure. All right, so here we have the idea of sand and the idea of sea, and let's check it out here. Oh, I managed to pull off my masking fluid. So, and I dripped on my water, but that's okay. That is okay. So the thing I have to do now is kind of wait for this to dry. It's like waiting for paint to dry. And that's actually what I have to do, is wait for the paint to dry. I might actually just grab some, either some gouache or some of this white ivory, my Winsor Newton kit, and just where this water is coming in closer here, I think I might just lighten it up so that it seems to be just a little bit hazy all through here. I'm just glazing it with a little bit of white, as if these waves are really breaking and there's more to it than meets the eye. Just gonna pull a little bit of this white over the top. Angelia is here. We got lots of people joining us here on a Friday night. It's not Saturday yet. Soon. Soon. So I'm learning to paint with watercolors, and I've normally been more of a pen and sketching type artist, but I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on how to paint with watercolors, and it's been really interesting to watch. But you know, you can only learn so much by looking what other people do. In order to actually get the skill, you have to do it yourself. So I decided I was going to paint with watercolors every day, and so that I can have some company, I am live streaming while I do it. Screeby Jeb07 is here. Hey, Screeby Jeeb. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. I'm painting a seascape. I wonder how people found out about my live stream tonight. Some of you obviously got notifications in your YouTube feed. Some of you are my subscribers. And if you're not a subscriber and this is your first time finding me, I'm curious if you want to share the method by which you discovered that I was even here, because that is a curious thing for me. You teach me how to draw The Simpsons. I did teach people how to draw The Simpsons. So thanks for coming to check out my watercolor fun. I'm not teaching any drawing at the moment, just painting today. And what I've done is I've masked off this little dark blue section with some masking fluid, which is a liquid, and then I've painted over it, and now I'm probably painting too much over it. But I've got some little bits of white back here for highlights, and I've added a little bit of white over top of the foam, and in as the water washes over the sand. That's what I'm trying to say. And now I'm going to let this sit and dry for a bit because I want to take off the masking fluid next, but I can't take it off until the paint is dry. So that's going to take at least a little while. I'm just going to move this out of the way. I'm just going to revisit this painting from yesterday. I was adding some touch-ups to it a minute ago to see if that helped. And I do believe it did. The only thing now that I can see that I need to do is I just need to fix this lamp post because it's really glaringly bright at the front. So I need gray, which I have right here. I'm just going to pull a little bit of gray in here just to give that edge some strength, like so. And that's probably all I'm going to do on that one. I don't think it needs anything else, really. Nothing else. Yeah, wet sand is really dark, and I tried to darken up that area, but I may have to do it more after I've let it dry, so we'll see what happens there. The next thing that I'm going to do is probably going to be really messy and pretty fun, but we're going to see really messy especially. So here's what's going to happen. I have this little travel palette that I built using my Winsor Newton Cotman field sketch kit, but I wanted it to be even more compact, so I put it into an Altoids tin. And the colors are pretty good, but they're not all transparent, and they're certainly not professional grade. So I'm investing in some more expensive paint tubes. And I've got some Daniel Smith colors and some Winsor Newton artist grade colors, and I'm going to put them into little pans and start to build my own little travel kit of that. So I got that stuff ready here. I'll just show you what's in this set here. So Billy Lemire is mentioning that any fishing 25 inland lakes with within 5 miles of him, and the Pere Marquette River, kayak, motorcycle, everything. Sand dunes are a lot of fun. We have the Badger and Cole Ferry. No, that's awesome. And Cole's mom does watercolors. Screeby Jeep said, I'm doing really good, and thank you. And Cole is mentioning that the wet sand should be really dark, and he's right. So what I have here, I ordered online this little box of empty pans. These are half pans. So they're similar to what the paint in here is in, only they're a slightly different size because they're actual half pans. I think these Winsor Newton travel kit were a different size. And so what I've done is I've labeled the edges of these with a Sharpie marker to say what colors I have. So I've got Payne's Gray, and that's a Cotman color, but it's the only Payne's Gray I have right now. Raw Sienna, which is the one I was just using. And I've got Permanent Sap Green, and I've got Quinacridone Gold. These ones are Winsor Newton Professional Grade, and I've got Burnt Umber. And then I've got these 6 colors here, which are the 6 colors that came with my Daniel Smith kit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix these, I'm going to prepare these so that they'll fit into my little mints, breath mints tin. And so it'll be a similar size to this one here, only it will have my transparent colors in it. So I'm just gonna set this aside because I don't need it quite yet, and don't need this at all. So what I'm going to do is in each one of these, I'm going to spread a thin layer of paint in the bottom, and then I'm going to let it dry. And then I'm going to do it for all of them, and they're going to have to sit and dry overnight, and then I'll do another coat tomorrow or later. And I'm trying to decide whether or not, hey, Tom K is here. Nice to see you again. I'm glad you joined me. I got some new watercolor paints, and I'm going to be putting them into these little half pans. I was just painting the picture of this ocean seascape, and I'm letting it dry for a few minutes while I have a look here. So what basically is going to happen is I'm going to open each of these tubes, and I'm going to stay right over this half pan. Sometimes you squeeze the paint without meaning to. And then I'm just going to like dab it in the corner and in the corner, in the corner, and in the middle, like that. And then tap it down. And then I'm going to let that dry. I've labeled the side of that so I know what it's going to be when I come back later. And then I'm going to clean off the edge so that I can close the container without causing it to reseal itself here. Alright, so that was my quinacridone gold, Winsor Newton. And I'm lagging home. Well, hopefully that fixes itself. Let me just have a look at what the stream is telling me. Thank you so much, Cole, for the information. Okay, well, it seems to have improved itself, so you should just hang tough. It's going to be okay. That's what they're telling me here. Everything is going to be okay. So, just play my chat here one more time so I can still see everything. All right. So now, I got one done. But again, these are going to have to sit and dry. And it's possible that I might have to stir them down into the corner. So I've got a little toothpick here. If I notice that there's a little bit of air bubbles, I'll just move it. When this dries, it's going to shrink a little bit, and it's going to end up being like cracking around the edges. But that's why I'll do another layer later, and I'll come back and fill those holes and put a little thicker layer on it. So now I have the burnt umber, which is also a Winsor Newton color. I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to squeeze the paint into the corners of this, and then dab it in the middle. This one feels like it's thicker. Just gonna tap it. It's like making a cake, only not at all like making a cake. So you can see here, that's what this looks like. Are we in focus? Let me just pull over here and see. Yeah, it's pretty much in focus. So it's just a little half pan now of burnt umber with only just like a third filled. And I'll put the cover back on. So I'm going to have room for two more pans in this little container by the time I'm done. And these little tubes of paint, they hold each 5 mLs. And the little half pans that I have hold 2 mLs. So that means I could fill these up a couple of times using the amount of paint that I have in the tube. And I somehow managed to make a really gobby mess in this one. So I'm going to try and use a little brush and pull some of this out and see what happens. Just tap it in there. I don't want to waste paint. That's the big thing for me. Don't like waste. Okay. It's all right. Now apparently, and I've had this experience before, sometimes the cover does get stuck. All right, so I just restarted OBS. Hopefully this will stop the lag. And we'll just see here what ends up happening. So hopefully this is a little bit better for everyone. And I can just check my stream settings here as well and see what I have for output. 4,500. Let's drop that down a little bit in case that helps too. All right. So you could just let me know if that helped or didn't help. I hope it helped. That's my hope. Message says I've stopped streaming. Yeah, I quickly did stop streaming, and let's not slow down the stream. I tell her stuff she knows. Well, maybe I did not know that. Everybody's being helpful. It's all good. Hopefully we're back. I'm just going to type here. Are we back? Now, Raw Sienna is next. I I didn't actually know at first. Someone had to tell me that I was breaking up. That was important information. All right, so there's the raw sienna. This is a little bit thick and chalky. I think it's separated a little bit from the whatever that binder is. Oh, good. Excellent. Maybe it doesn't like me banging on the table. Maybe that's the issue. So this one is raw sienna from Winsor Newton, and got 4 of them done now. Next I'll do this Payne's Gray. This one was a little bigger. This was an 8mm tube, but it's also student grade, not professional grade. So I think they sell you a little bit more. Maybe it's even got more binder in it. I don't know. I'm trying to open these over the pan themselves, because sometimes you didn't realize it, but you squeezed it a little bit and it caused some pressure to be exerted onto the paint in the tube, causing it to be ready to ooze out the moment you opened the container. All right, so that's my Payne's Gray. And those are the 4 colors that I had before yesterday when my Daniel Smith colors arrived. And I'm super excited about these. And I'm going to put them into pans. Wiz News Weather just notified me because it might storm this weekend. Okay, well, that could be interesting. And all the different brands will have the same color names and hues. Yeah, if you look, the color names and hues. So, for example, this is a quinacridone rose, and the pigment is PV19, and it's only PV19. So, if you bought another brand of quinacridone rose that showed on the side that it was only PV19, then it would be the same pigments. They could have a different amount of binders in it, or a different like ratio of binder to pigment. So it could show up differently, and even the type of binder they use could make it appear a little bit different. But then some of the other colors, like quinacridone gold, this used to be a single pigment color, but they discontinued making it, and as I learned in October, November. And so now, in order to make this color, everyone has to use a mixture of different pigments, and in order to approximate the original, different brands are using different combinations of pigments. But this one is using PR205, PV19, and PY150. And not every company uses that same combination of pigments. And also, I've learned that if you want things to blend well and be complementary, it's a sure bet if you use 2 colors that actually use one of the same pigments within it. So they call this like a convenience color, quinacridone gold, and any other color that is made by mixing, but which they created for you by mixing multiple pigments. Because literally, where did that go? I had it on here and I was looking at it. If I wanted, here we go. If I wanted to make my own quinacridone gold, I could buy pigment PR206, pigment PV19, and pigment PY150, and mix those 3 in the right ratio to achieve the quinacridone gold. The Daniel Smith colors, when they were making the permanent sap green, they were using quinacridone gold as one of the pigments in it. And if I just look on the side here, this particular green and this quinacridone gold don't use any of the same base pigments. So that's just some random trivia about paint tubes. But for sure, there's definitely there's something to be said for different brands having different light fastness, different amounts of color. And so this is the Quin Rose. It's the Daniel Smith, and I'm going to open this tube and pour it in. So this paint is transparent, non-granulating. So that means it doesn't leave a sediment on the page. And then when you layer it with another color, it is very clear, so you're able to see through it into the other color, which is kind of a neat thing. And I was finding that some of my other colors, my student grade colors, weren't giving me the transparency that I actually wanted. So I looked for these. I did a lot of asking around. I asked a couple of the big watercolor specialists here on YouTube, like Anne Lord, who does she's following the White Rabbit, and she was a big help. She suggested that I try the Daniel Smith colors, and she taught me how to find whether or not they were transparent and all the good stuff. So big shout out to her as well for the help. So now I know why I had to pay for a $1 college course on color. Yes, and I'm just giving you the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more to it than that. So here we have quinacridone rose, and then the other red that came in this kit is called Pyrrole Scarlet. And you can, when you look at this quinacridone rose, it looks kind of purpley, and so that's a blue red, which is also known as a cool red, because blue is like the color of cold things. And the other red that I have here is the Pyrrole Scarlet, Daniel Smith, also transparent color. This is more of an orangey red, so it leans more toward yellow, and the yellow-red side of the color wheel is considered to be the warm side. So this is a warm red because it's not purpley, it's more orangey or yellowy. And there we have that one. I labeled these ahead of time so I didn't have to keep switching between markers and paint tubes. I'm just going to blend that in a little bit so that the air bubbles are pulled out. But you can see already that that's a much more orangey red than the quinacridone rose. So this is called Daniel Smith Essentials, this set here, and it's two of each of the primary colors. So there's 2 yellows, 2 reds, and 2 blues, a warm and a red, a warm and a cool for each, and that gives you like as many possibilities for mixing other secondary and tertiary colors as you could potentially want. So now I have, this one is the French Ultramarine, and you can see that this is a warm blue. It's got a reddish, purplish tone to it. It's a very royal color. And let's get a little bit in there. And I'm gonna let this dry overnight and maybe longer. And then the other blue is this one here called Phthalo Blue. It's spelt P-H-T-H-A-L-O. Lots of H's in this word. And this one is more of a, and it's a green shade. It has a GS initials after it. So this one is the cool blue for this set. When they're dry, they don't always look different. So there we have Phthalo Blue. I got the blues done. My computer's hissing. Hopefully everything still looks good. My fan is kicking in. So now I have these 2 yellows, one that looks more orange and one that doesn't look green but is very bright yellow. So this is the warm and this is the cool yellow. And I'll put the Hansa yellow into this little pan here. And doop-doop-doo. A little more down in the corner. Now I got some paint. That's a dirty brush. Let's clean it. I got a little bit of paint on the flange, on the edge here of the threads. Just going to paint it off with my brush. A little bit of water so that it doesn't get stuck. And I can open it next time. How much longer am I planning to stream? Well, it's 9:05, so my plan was 25 more minutes. That's the plan. Stan. Some bubbles in here, so I'm just going to pop them. Super important to not contaminate your colors at this stage, isn't it? Because they're going to be in the pan for a while, being in use. And then we've got the last one here, which is the new Gamboge, which is the orangey yellow, which is kind of even an orange color, really. It's not really yellow. It's kind of like school bus orange yellow. Whatever you want to call that color. It's not a bright yellow. I think of it as an orange. But it's not called orange or yellow, it's called new Gamboge. I guess there might have been an old Gamboge, but this is the new one. All right, I'm gonna pop these back into the box. And the box is great because it stops you from like banging into these by accident and squeezing on them and causing pressure to get exerted onto the top. So I'll keep storing those in the box. But that little set was $60, which is enough to pay for a tiny little set of watercolors. But I'm happy to pay it if it means that I can get the if I can achieve all of the things that I'm looking to achieve in my painting, because I'm starting to really enjoy all of this, and I want to get better at it, so that's the way to do it. All right, so I'm just going to set these into the tin for now. I've got the reds, got the yellows, so let's see, we'll put the warm ones down and the cool ones up, and then we've got warm and cool. And then we've got, this is quinacridone gold and raw sienna and burnt umber and permanent sap green. Then I've got Payne's gray. Just leaving these to dry for now. And I'm trying to decide if I should put this gouache into a pan as well. I'm one of these little empty dudes. I'm just not entirely sure that gouache was, oh, the set was $60 for, oh, $50 for 6 tubes, and they're tiny, but they should last a long time, I'm thinking. And they're all 5 mil. I'm just trying to decide if I should put the gouache in here, and I think I will, because it does seem to reactivate with water, and if I'm on the go, it's always nice to have a little bit of gouache with me. So I'm just going to squirt some of that in here too for the completion of my set. This is not transparent. Everything else in this tin is transparent except for this gouache, which I did not label the side of. How many dogs do you have, Amy? And what kind are they? So this is Winsor Newton zinc white gouache. Gouache, zinc white. And it's Winsor Newton. 2 dogs. I knew you had more than one because you said one of my dogs. It was a dead giveaway. Winsor Newton. Okay, so that gouache is going to be in there too. So when I want to add something, so these are 2 non-transparent colors here, the zinc white and the Payne's gray, but everything else is either transparent, fully transparent, or semi-transparent. I think there are only 2 semi, the rest are fully in that set, except, yes, that's exactly right. Okay, so that now has to sit to dry. And now let's see what's going on with my waterscape. Both rescues, 1 small, 1 part Jack Russell, Murphy, and 1 part hound, Maggie. Murphy's on my Instagram. He geocaches with me. That's so nice. That is nice. I used to have, I've had dogs. I had dogs my whole life. And then 6 or 7 years ago, my last dog passed away, and it was really hard. It's always really sad when your dog passes away, but I wasn't able to, I didn't want to get another one after that. It seemed like I was too sad to get one, and now I just haven't had one for a while. So I just look after other people's dogs when they need someone to look after their dogs. So that makes me happy. Okay, so I feel like this is dry enough to remove my masking fluid. So this will be like the moment, the pièce de résistance. We'll see how it ends up looking, and then we'll add some details if we need to. But I'm just gonna pull it off with the edge of this brush. I'm just gonna scrape at it until it comes off. So you can see up here now there's some pure white paper showing through. That would have been really hard to achieve with like reverse painting or negative space painting, but I can easily do it with the masking fluid. And I could have done it after the fact with some gouache, but then it would have been another kind of like there'd be another kind of paint over top of my other stuff, so opted to try it this way. And now this is a big blobby section of white. More white than it needed to be. Oh, and I'm tearing my paper. So that's the other thing. It's a good thing this is not like a super important piece that I'm working on. Some paper doesn't like masking fluid, or doesn't like it as thick. That was a really big blob of it there when I put it on. I put it on really heavy by accident. So sometimes you have to be a little bit aware of what's going on there with your paper. Just peeling this off. All right, now I've got all kinds of it all through along here. Okay, so we waited about 10 years after Scout passed. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I still haven't got to the 10-year mark, and I enjoy looking after other people's dogs, but I'm not ready yet to get my own. And Cole says they have a Weimaraner mixed with a lab, and her name is Abby, and she's 7, and I'm 9. So you've had her with you almost your whole life. You're a pretty good speller for 9 years old, Cole. So, and Amy says that her masking fluid came with an eraser. That's cool. Yeah, I'm just using the edge of my... You can use your finger. You can just kind of rub it like this, and it's like rubber cement. Once you get it started, you can even just like lift it. It's kind of satisfying. And then it slingshots. So I'm pulling this off. And let's go back and find the little edges. I don't work with this very often, but one of my other favorite YouTubers, I have a lot of favorite YouTubers in case you didn't notice. Yeah, it did work pretty good. Your eraser also worked pretty good, because this is not working too badly. I'm just pokey. Mary Doodles. Have you ever seen Mary Doodles paint with watercolors? She does really cool stuff. She gets these ideas and creates all kinds of imaginative things, and she uses masking fluid over other colors. So she'll paint a wash of like pink or something, and then she will use her masking fluid to keep the pink, you know, once it's been dried, and then she'll paint other colors over the remaining areas and some of the other pink, and then it just continues to be more and more interesting. And when she pulls it all off, of course, you reveal not just white, but lots of other colors. All right, so this is coming along. I'm getting there. I knew this was going to take a while to dry before I'd be able to use to get the masking fluid off, and so I wanted to plan something to do to fill the time. So I worked on the palette creation. And Tom K says he loves the picture. It kind of looks like the default iPhone wallpaper. You may not know what I mean if you don't have an iPhone. Well, I don't have an iPhone, but I kind of think I have seen that default image before. So now I did damage my paper a little bit, because this is just inexpensive paper and it's pretty heavy duty masking fluid. So some people will like burnish the paper back into shape by like rubbing a smooth edge to press the paper back in. I don't know, that might work. I've seen it done. I have seen it done on YouTube. Okay, so I'm just gonna hold this up and look at it, because I keep it on an angle here while I'm painting. Okay, so it's pretty good. But I don't really care for these big plain looking white areas, so I think I'm going to do something up there to make them look a little bit less stationary. Like down here, I feel like it needs to have the punch of white, and up here it just needs to have a bit of blue underneath it or something. So let me find that blue that I was using. I'll just bring this massive palette back over, and this little paper swatch. See what I can come up with. And I'm not going to put a lot of it. I'm just going to put a little. So let's get a smaller brush. Maybe old standby number 3 here. Wherever she has disappeared too. So number 2. Okay, number 2 it is. So this is a really pretty turquoise. Oh, so pretty. So I'm just gonna dab this in a few little spots here along this section, but not in any sort of predictable way, just sort of in there. And then I'm going to do the same thing through some of these lighter areas that I hinted at. All right. I don't want to go too crazy though, because I'm pretty happy with it. I like the contrasts that it has. It's dark up in here. I could add a little bit of a wash of a bit darker. So I might just grab my big brush and Billy Lemire says, I assembled a watercolor set similar to your tin with my Windsor tubes and cut up my mini ice cube tray. I love it. Also spritz my colors before I even begin with adding more water. Yeah, I actually have a little water spritz bottle here that I was using yesterday, so that is a good tip. But building your own palette's kind of fun. You end up with the colors in it that you want as opposed to the ones that were given to you by someone else. And all right, so this might be it. I might be just about done this lovely water seascape. Just gonna put a little more turquoise into my closer view foreground. All right, looking good. And Cole says he painted with me today. That is lovely. I'm so glad you did. And so for those of you who are new today, I wonder if you can tell me where you found me, or even I'm not sure where Tom found me. Maybe you found me on my channel page or through your subscription. But what about Billy Lemire? I haven't seen you here before. Did you have you been a subscriber, or did you go to YouTube Live and happen to find me there, or did you see my video in the sidebar of some other video? I'm just a little curious. I'm a curious person. All right, so those are all the colors I'm going to put on here. And what is it? 9:18. So I've got like 12 more minutes left today. I could probably take off my name down here in the corner, which ended up with, I'm going to add some gouache to my signature because a little bit of it got washed out in the sand. Just like it would in real life. The masking fluid got moved a little bit right there. Oh gosh, there's some kind of color on here. I'm putting it on my painting. Let's pull it off. Let's just pull it off. And then try again with clean. Recently fallen in love with water brushes as well. I have a rat terrier. She's a mini Jack Russell. Not ACK recognized yet. Made of a Whippet, Chihuahua, and Jack Russell. That sounds amazing. I love dogs. Dogs have so much charm and character. They're the best. No wonder they're man's best friend, right? They're just such lovely little critters. Especially the tiny ones. I have a tiny one who comes to visit me sometimes. Her name is Apple. And she's a poodle. She's so cute. She's the color of apple cinnamon, like that spicy color. And she likes to snuggle with me on my fuzziest blanket. So I have another one who's coming soon. Sadie's going to be here. She's a lab mix, but she's mostly just a lab with long legs. She's supposed to be a labradoodle, but she looks more like just a plain lab with long legs. I don't like how it turned out. You know what, Cole? You're never going to like your art. Maybe tomorrow you'll like it more than you liked it today. And if you try painting it again another time, you might like it even more or even less. But it'll be a learning experience. The more times you try to paint something, the better you get. So yeah, 6 pounds, age 7, puppy with a touch of training. Trained rather well, and she chooses to listen. Yeah, dogs sometimes choose to not listen. And Tom says he's been subbed for a while. doesn't really look through sub blocks, but one day I was scrolling through and it saw you and says you were streaming, so I had to check. There you go. Yeah, I've been streaming live. This is what? It's a Friday. So every day for, I think, 9 days now, maybe? It's my 9th live stream. Because I'm practicing painting with watercolors every day, so I'm figuring why not come on here and have some company while I do. And then I've got Amy joined in, and she's painting everything I paint, which is kind of fun. And she sends me pictures. Someone else is sending me pictures too on Instagram, but they're choosing to remain anonymous. So just pulling off this mask, which makes the picture look finished. And let's see here. I'll flip this over. Probably go out of focus while I do. Yes, try to paint it again. You don't have to do it right away, but you know what? I always say you learn things when you make mistakes or when you don't like what you did. That's how you learn to do better next time. You go, well, I don't like how dark that color was, or I don't like that I put too many greens in there. Whatever, you can fix it. You can learn what you didn't like. And I also say that if you don't like your work, it's also telling me that your eye or your mind is more advanced than your hand has gotten to be. So your mind is saying you can do better. I like things different than this. Next time I want it to be different. So that's good too. If you did horrible art and you loved it, I mean, that's great. You love your art, but you would have no room to improve next time because you would already love the one that you have created. So there wouldn't be any room for improvement. And I would never say your art was horrible either. So I was just using that word as an example. If you don't know there's room to improve, you won't improve. So that's, either way, it's all good. Okay, so there is my waterscape. It's kind of relaxing. Looks like it belongs in a bathroom or something. And Billy Lemire says, I don't like masking. One thing I don't like about watercolors, so I'll wait dry time when I can. More abstract and acrylic, but I do enjoy watercolor and it's extremely portable. It's getting warm in here. Spring has sprung and summer is upon us, but and Cole says he'll paint it again tomorrow and he didn't use watercolors. Okay. And Billy says, I kind of like that distressed look. It's far more realistic. It does look like the waves crashing. Yeah, that's what I was going for. It was like a heavy crashing, smashing. Let me see if I can bring this up closer for you. And so let me pull my OBS over so I can see the focus, if it does stay focused or become focused. It seems to lose focus when I get closer, even if I wait. Not sure why, but if I put my hand in there, it likes to focus on that. I don't know. No, it's not really grabbing. Oh, there you can see some of the details. Out of focus. Hello. Paint all over my fingers. No, somehow it doesn't it'll focus super tight all over here. I'll just take you on a tour of the edge of the painting. And then it's got all these sort of wavy, watery bits of color and some little highlights up there randomly. It's a little more green in real life than it looks on this on my computer screen. I don't think that it's picking up on the greens, but I'm happy with it. I think it looks kind of the way I hoped it would. And let's pull the chat back up here. I had to make it go away so I could see. 7x14 beach pour acrylic. That's kind of similar. So is that a dirty pour? Like you did a wet on wet acrylic pour? I love those. I did a few before Christmas, and I actually have a big canvas coming. I can't wait. I've got a 4x3 foot canvas coming and some acrylic paints, and I'm going to make a really huge acrylic pour for my living room. I got some new furniture and I need to have new art. So that's going to happen sometime in the next month or two. I'll try and either live stream while I do it, but probably maybe just make a video because that's going to be super messy. I don't think that's something I can manage technology at the same time as doing. All right, so that's done. And we had this other one. this cityscape that I'm just going to peek at one more time here before I sign off and see if there's anything else that I thought it needed. I'm a lot happier now though that I darkened up some of the brights over here and neutralized them. And I also gave this a little bit of texture. That makes a difference. I think I'm ready to sign my name on that one now. It wasn't before. Didn't feel finished. It didn't feel quite like it was the way I wanted it to be. I'm just getting videos going. I'll have to check it out. I do all of mine live, unedited, and varies content from art to gardening. Nice. Build your own is exactly why I did it. Yep. I find that YouTube is a really fun way to engage with people who are interested in the same things you're interested in, and that's why I do it, is to share and engage and meet new people and share passions and hobbies and all the good stuff. Yeah, it's super fun. Right in the middle of this painting there's a little bit of white. I'm just gonna use my marker and make that go away. Don't ask me how that happened. Little tiny white spot in the middle of that building. So it's 9:27 and my plan was to go till 9:30, so I pretty much achieved that and did all the things I set out to do. I added the details, final details to this one, painted this one in its entirety, and got my Daniel Smith colors in the first coat in the pans, and they're gonna sit out to dry now for a day or two. Now I just have to think of a painting for tomorrow. I was out for lunch with a couple of girlfriends today, and they suggested a couple of things that they would like me to paint for them. They would like they're commissioning some art, as you might say. One wants a ladybug, so I drew something here. It's like a plant with a little ladybug crawling on it. It's an idea. And one wants a hummingbird, so I drew this little hummingbird sort of getting ready to find a flower, gonna dive down. I think I would do this one like rainbow splashy colors and a little bit soft and neutralized. But these ones I don't have reference pictures for, they're just sketches that I made. So it makes it a little harder when we're working on YouTube live stream. You can't really follow along if I don't have a reference. So I don't know, we could just do sketch, what do you call that, line and wash with these and create our own as we go. We don't have to always have a reference picture. It means that everyone's will just look a little different unless you wait until I get ahead of you and then follow behind. So, Cole says he's tired, moved to bed, and he's about to fall asleep. Okay, well, good night, Cole. Thanks for joining us. And Billy says, I'm not new. I've been lurking for a while. I found you, I want to say, in a list when I was looking at painters, I would think. It's been a while, but I have a lot of subscriptions that I love. Yeah, oh, I love watching and hearing you while you paint. So that's awesome. I'm glad that you're enjoying watching me paint. It's like having a visit with someone, right? A live stream. You're not there for the excitement. You're just there for the visit and the chat and sort of the real-time communication. If you just want to learn something, you can watch a video that was edited and created and produced. But for these, I'm not really teaching anything, so I feel like it's more engaging and more fun for people to participate in a live chat where we can actually have conversation in real time, as opposed to leaving comments on a YouTube video, which no one ever seems to do. So so that's all right. But it's nice to chime in and say a few things in the chat so that we can direct the conversation in the direction of the majority of the viewers, because sometimes the majority are 10-year-olds and sometimes the majority are adults. So it's nice to have the flavor of both of those things happening in the chat. All right, so I think maybe tomorrow I'm going to paint one of these sketches, and I don't have a reference photo for these, but I feel like that would be the next thing that I want to do. So hopefully for people who are following along, you'll be happy to do your own version of a line and wash, which means basically we draw it first, then we might use pencil first and then pen, and then we use our watercolors to enhance the line work that we already did. It's line and wash. So I will end now, saying goodnight to you all, and thanks again for joining me. And I'm streaming again tomorrow, and it's in the evening. I think it's going to be, what did I think, 6 8:30, 7 to 8:30 my time. So that's 5 Central. I think it's around 5 Central tomorrow. But you can check my channel page and it'll give you the details for the next live stream. So it'll be there as soon as I'm done here. Tom says, oh, Cole says do the hummingbird, but he already said goodnight. Go to sleep. Tom says, see you soon. Have a lovely night. See you soon, Tom. Thanks for sticking around. And Billy says, I can send you some pics. You can choose whatever you like. I have a great shot of the ferry. The area is rather historical. We're our own worst critics in all we do in Artland. Yes, I've learned a long time ago to just love the things I do for what they are, even if they aren't what I hoped they would be in the end. So yeah, you can send along some pics. That would be great. I'm on Instagram, and you can find me on Twitter and Facebook. So those are all good ways to send me direct messages. I don't know if you can send pictures through direct message on YouTube or not. In the community feed, you can post them in your own community feed, and I could find them there if you just sent me a note. That would probably be a good way to work it as well. All right, so for the final time, I shall say bid you all adieu, and I'll see you tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.